You've had this experience more times than you've acknowledged. A younger woman gives you a brief, non-exaggerated glance before grinning. You sense it's landing, and you explain it away just as fast. She's merely being courteous. She gives everyone a smile. It has no significance. There's a single reason why guys keep quiet about situations like these. They no longer have faith in their perception. And it wasn't a sudden doubt. It resulted from years of being informed in private and over again that an attraction has an expiration date. Young people have that interest, so it must be unintentional, innocent, and pointless if a younger woman sees you. In other words, you trained yourself to turn your head away from the signal before it could register. However, most men are never given a clear explanation of this difficult reality. That smile wasn't random or unintentional. It didn't have to be loud, so it wasn't. Instead of responding emotionally, men who recognize patterns are able to comprehend things that others do not. Seldom does human activity make itself known. Softly revealing itself, it waits to see whether anyone notices. Furthermore, the men who lose this opportunity are not weak. They weren't working with the whole picture. Let's take our time. Your natural reaction is to minimize a younger woman's smile because you believe that attractiveness necessitates performance, effort, impressing, and self-promotion. Younger males behave in this manner. Older guys are unaware that what is being seen is precisely what they cease to do. You're not looking around the room to get permission. You're not attempting to attract attention. You're not always changing who you are to meet the expectations of others. You're merely present. The tension starts at that point because genuine confidence is something you don't declare. People experience it when you don't try to control how they react to you. You take a different stance. You have a peculiar gait. You don't arrive in a hurry. Additionally, when a younger lady smiles at you in a line, a coffee shop, a lobby, or during a fleeting moment, it's usually because her nervous system made a decision before her mind did. She did not choose to grin. She answered. Most explanations become superficial at this point. They'll tell you that having confidence makes you seem good and move on. This isn't the case. She is reacting to captivity. Men who have lived long enough to give up seeking approval from others have a subtle psychological weight rather than a heavy density, a feeling that nothing needs to be demonstrated right now. And in a noisy world, that characteristic jumps out starkly. Younger men are frequently still trying to figure out who they are. They are noisy, impulsive, overly expressive, and continuously assessing their level of acceptance. You're not. And contrast is produced by that disparity. She is observing the difference without giving it a name, as seen by that smile. This is where it becomes more intriguing, though, because adoration isn't the sole reason behind that smile. It also has to do with safety, the subtle kind, not the spectacular one. Groundedness, regularity, and emotional safety. Men who don't need to win the moment, men who don't strive to control the conversation, men who don't explain themselves. Those males are listed as stable. Furthermore, something more profound than desire is triggered by stability. It makes things easier. She doesn't feel compelled to perform. She doesn't feel assessed. She doesn't feel compelled to keep up. She can only be here for a moment. That is uncommon. And the body responds to it by grinning. This is where most males make mistakes. You interpret the smile as either courtesy or curiosity. That binary isn't true. Sometimes a grin is a question that is addressed with attention rather than words. Who are you? Are you really as composed as you appear? The internal test occurs here, frequently without her being aware of it. The signal closes if you recoil, look away too quickly, or brush the situation off as uncomfortable. The loop remained open, not because you failed. Reactive men chase. Men who observe give in. And silent power resides in allowing. However, we haven't yet arrived at the fundamental cause. Because younger ladies don't actually smile at older men out of admiration. It's acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is a silent process. It doesn't make an announcement. It is not self-explanatory. Furthermore, it never requests consent. It's frequently not your age, prestige, or even attractiveness that a younger lady recognizes when she smiles at you. Resolution is becoming apparent to her. There is an obvious quality to those who have lived long enough to quit bargaining with themselves, a stable position within. Emotional debts have already been settled, decisions have already been made, and values have been selected. You're not going to audition forever, and that alters how you are perceived by others. This is the point at which the internal conflict intensifies, because the majority of older men are unaware that they have already undergone this change. The years when attention felt conditional are still fresh in your mind. When it took work, charm, or evidence to get attention, you had to earn interest. You therefore don't trust attention when it shows up today, uninvited and unforced. You believe that's not possible for me. However, humility is not the source of that skepticism. It stems from an antiquated view of oneself. Men whose interior identities have never been updated continue reacting to the outside world as though they are still requesting access, when, in fact, the door is already open. Often, that smile represents a subliminal acceptance of authority. Not authority, not control, nor dominance. The kind that originates from someone who doesn't have to justify their position. Younger women are surrounded by males who describe their objectives before they have even experienced them. Emotional instability, reactivity, and overexposure. Then, you don't convey availability or avoidance. Instead, you seem restrained and unhurried. And there is a halt because of that disparity. The smile resides in that pause. However, there is an additional layer. The majority of explanations never come into contact. An older man's confidence is not the sole reason a younger woman smiles at him. He's not under any strain, which makes her smile. There's no haste in the exchange, no hunger in your gaze, and no agenda in your posture. It's disarming psychologically that you're not attempting to take anything out of the moment. You can unwind around people who don't require anything from you. They don't make the space tighter. They don't change the mood. They have room. She feels that way. And many men unintentionally break the dynamic at this point. They hurry to define it. Was that a sign of interest? Do I need to take action? Shall I disregard it? However, there was never a call for action. It was requesting to be present. This is instantly understood by men who look for patterns rather than pursuing results. They don't act right away to close the loop. They allowed it to breathe. Because this is the psychological reality. The majority of individuals avoid confrontation. Usually, attraction develops after safety rather than before. Furthermore, words do not create safety. It is developed by self-consistency. Let's now discuss experience, the internal kind, not the arrogant one. Younger males tend to live in suspense. Recall is home to older males. You've witnessed the course of events. You've seen recurring patterns. You now know where effort is important and where it is squandered. Your moves are softened by that viewpoint. It takes desperation out of your choices. Additionally, a younger woman's interest isn't entirely romantic when she grins at you. It's existential. How did he get here? What does he know that I haven't yet? How does it feel to be at ease within yourself? Her nervous system is listening even though she isn't consciously thinking such thoughts. The smile turns into a probing at this point. A probe, not a promise, not a fling. You pass without trying if you react with the same level of composure. No spike, no collapse. The probe closes if you overcorrect, joke excessively, or withdraw emotionally. Grounded men don't attempt to make moments meaningful. They allow meaning to emerge. This leads us to the unsettling conclusion that many males are resistant. Some younger ladies just grin because it's acceptable for them to do so. Just a quick acknowledgement between two people. No performance, no rivalry, no emotional demands. That kind of independence is uncommon. And for that reason, the smile frequently lasts just long enough to be sensed but unexplained. Because sometimes a smile is just what it appears to be. Attraction, not loud, not demanding, but genuine. And once you realize that, you completely stop wondering where you fit in the world. Before you even talk, people can see that you move differently.